Hey guys, the second episode of the final season just ended and it was amazing. Before we make breakdown on episode 3 preview, let's firstly review the season 8 episode 2. Before the opening scene of Jaime's trial, we see the new intro that now changes every episode. The ice floor that spreads out from the wall representing the Night King and his army who bring the storm and winter, that in the premiere went to the Last Heart, the seat of House Somber, and foreshadowed its doom now goes to Winterfell. From the intro itself, we already knew for a fact that the Night King's army would arrive at Winterfell by the end of episode 2. The episode begins with Jaime's trial, which I have to say disappointed me a bit, and I'll tell you why, but also gave quite a few hints that go in favor to Tyrion being a traitor and working for Cersei. Dany says to Jaime how her late brother Viserys used to tell her bedtime stories about the man who killed their father, as well as about what they would do to that man after they take back the Seven Kingdoms. Jaime reveals to all of them that Cersei has betrayed them, she is not sending her armies north. Additionally, she has brought the Golden Company to fight against them after the Great War is over. What I expected next to happen is Dany saying that she shared the same intentions with her brother regarding Jaime, until she found out why Jaime actually killed her father, which was to stop him from burning all the innocent people of King's Landing. But no, Dany still wants to kill Jaime, and it's only until Sansa and Jon say that it's okay that Dany decides not to execute Jaime. Yes, in case you missed it, Tyrion told Dany why Jaime killed her father in the 9th episode of the 6th season. When discussing a plan to deal with the slaver fleet that was at the time besieging their city of Marine, Dany declared the plan to destroy the Maesters' armies, kill them all and destroy their cities. Tyrion disapproves and explained the similarities between this plan and the one her father had for the King's Landing when the Lannisters were at his door. Tyrion also said that the only reason his brother Jaime killed her father was because the Mad King wanted to burn the city to the ground along with its population. So Dany already knows the truth behind Jaime's so-called betrayal over her father, and it's definitely odd for her to want to punish him for that. Even she herself admitted her father was an evil man back in season 7 when meeting Jon Snow. Tyrion speaks for Jaime saying, "Your Grace, I know my brother," but Dany is quick to cut him off with, "like you knew your sister." Nevertheless, Tyrion continued by saying, "He came here alone, knowing full well how he would be received. Why would he do that if he weren't telling the truth?" Dany is still not convinced, and even Sansa supports her, or at least until Brienne vouches for Jaime. As expected, Jaime's shocked face from episode 2 preview turned out to be upon hearing something from Brienne. Jaime doesn't regret what he's done against House Stark, because he had to do it for the good of his family, stating he'd do it all over again, which is when Brienne says to him the things we do for love. The same line Jaime said to Brienne before pushing him out the window. This obviously has Jaime shocked. Jaime now knows full well that Brienne remembers, but he also knows that Brienne clearly chose not to tell anyone else because if he had, Jaime would have likely been sentenced to death. We later find out Brienne did not tell them because Jaime will have an important role in this war. Dany asks him, "So why did you abandon your house and family now?" To which Jaime replies with, "Because this goes beyond loyalty," as he looks at Brienne. This is a callback to the season 7 finale when Brienne told Jaime, "F loyalty. This goes beyond houses and honor and oaths," which helped Jaime realize it's all about the Great War, which is why he abandoned Cersei. Brienne vouches for Jaime, and reveals to others that he defended her from the people who tried to force themselves upon her, which is the reason Jaime lost his hand. Brienne also reveals to Sansa that he's the reason she's even alive, as it's Jaime who armed her, and sent her on a quest to find her, fulfilling an oath he gave to her mother Catelyn. After hearing all of this, Sansa says Jaime should stay because Brienne trusts him. There's some tension between Jon and Dany. Jon cannot even look at her at this meeting, which we all know why. Jon agrees with Sansa and the decision is made. Jaime fights for them now. Jon leaves the Great Hall without speaking to her. Dany does not look happy, because Tyrion messed up again. Dany is mad at Tyrion because Cersei betrayed them, and he is in her mind either a fool or a traitor for persuading them all to believe his sister, to which Tyrion is quick to admit he's a fool. But is he really? Are we supposed to believe Sansa, who spent far less time with Cersei, was able to tell Cersei was not going to send help north? But Tyrion, Cersei's brother, and the one Cersei actually talked about is, believed her? I think Tyrion and Cersei made a deal in the season 7 finale, and Tyrion betrayed Dany. At the end of the scene, Dany says to him, "If you can't help me overthrow your sister and bring me the Iron Throne, then I'll find a hand who can." And Tyrion's response to that is, "I suspect one of you will be wearing this," referring to the hand of the Queen Pen before it's all over. Many foreshadows here. Gendry and Arya talk about the White Walkers. Gendry wants Arya to be down in the crypts when the dead actually arrive, but Arya is quick to change his mind by displaying her skills. Gendry is right back on making a weapon for Arya. Jaime finds Brienne to talk to him, apologizing for what he's done to him, but Brienne is not angry because if Jaime had not done it, then Jaime would not have changed and would not have been here helping them, and he still would have been Brandon Stark and not the Three-Eyed Raven. Jaime asks if he'll tell them afterwards, to which Brienne responds with, "How do you know there's an afterwards?" which is either foreshadowing Jaime's death in the Great War against the Night King's army, or the death of all the humanity. Winterfell is in the midst of preparation, making all defenses and weapons out of dragonglass. Jaime and Tyrion finally have a proper reunion. Tyrion says he's made mistakes. Jaime says Cersei is pregnant for real. That thing on the walls behind them is dragonglass, which will come handy when the dead try climbing the walls. Then we hear once again how Tyrion would like to die, the same description we already heard multiple times and so did Jaime. Jaime notices Brienne, who's training soldiers and will command the left flank. Brienne has come a long way. Podrick has come a long way as well, and seemingly became a great warrior in his own right. The dead are doomed. Jaime says he would be honored to serve under Brienne's command, a bit emotional scene, and from the official trailer we know the two will fight side by side. Then we have a conversation between Dany and Jorah. Jorah tells Dany that she broke his heart when she named Tyrion the Hand, but he also says that she made the right choice. Dany says Tyrion made serious mistakes, but Jorah tells her she should forgive Tyrion, as everyone makes mistakes and learns from them. Jorah makes another suggestion for his queen. She should have a conversation with the Lady of Winterfell, Sansa Stark, and come in good terms. Dany finds Sansa and the two have a conversation. Dany says she thought Sansa and her were on the verge of agreement about Jaime, before Brienne changes Sansa's mind, the kind of advisor she'd like to have, the one who she can trust, and Sansa is quick to say that Tyrion is a good man and a good choice for the Hand. Sansa says they have Jon in common, but that men tend to do stupid things for love. Dany says she always wanted the throne, but now she's fighting Jon's war. She's here because she loves him. Sansa says she should have thanked Dany right away. They joke about Drogo, he's taller than Jon. The two finally come to good terms, but then Sansa asks Dany what will be with the North after they defeat the dead and Cersei when she takes the Iron Throne, implying that she wants it to be an independent kingdom, which is when the two are back at it again with all the tension. Maester Vulcan interrupts the conversation when Theon Greyjoy arrives with his Ironborn. It's a heartbreaking scene. Theon comes to fight for his home, for Winterfell, and the Lady of Winterfell accepts him with all heart. This is a huge moment for Theon and the Starks as well. Theon saved Bran's life back in Season 1 from wildlings, but then a bit later he was the reason Bran had to flee Winterfell. I believe Theon will save Bran again, or maybe Sansa this time with his bow, and he might even die while doing it. Then we see good lad Davos, feeding people and encouraging newcomers. Gillis says other ladies where they are going to hide during the battle for Winterfell, in the crypts, saying it's the safest place to be. But is it really? From Season 1 conversation between Maester Vulcan and Theon Greyjoy, we learn that there are hidden passages in the crypts that lead to the outside its walls, built for the Starks so they can escape in the case of emergency. What if the Night King was a Stark? Is that why we don't see him outside with his army? Is he leading a small force to attack Winterfell from inside the crypts? I do think so, and I don't think this brave little girl will be able to protect those in the crypts when the Night King shows up out of nowhere. Ed, Beric and Tormund arrive at Winterfell. Ed has a reunion with his former Night's Watch brothers Jon and Sam, and Tormund has a reunion with his favorite crow Jon. Jon learns what happened with the Lost Heart and numbers. Jon asks how long do we have, and Tormund replies with, before the sun comes up tomorrow. The War Council is called upon, and pretty much everyone important is there. As Jon says, they are coming. We have Dragonless, Valyrian Steel, but there are too many of them. Far too many. Our enemy doesn't tire, doesn't stop, doesn't feel, as we see Winterfell armoring up and arming its people. Defenses are as ready as much as they can be. The Dothraki and the Unsullied march outside. Jon continues by saying we cannot beat them in the straight fight, and Jaime asks so what we can do. Jon shares what they learned on their mission beyond the wall. If you kill the one who raised them all, they all die, pointing out that killing the Night King is their main object, but killing White Walkers is also pretty good, as all the whites they raise die along. Bran then reveals that the Night King is coming for him, and that might be their best chance to kill him. Bran is marked. Bran has made his decision. He will stay out there in the open, in the Godswood of Winterfell, to basically be a bait for the Night King. Theon will be protecting him with his Ironborn. Protecting Winterfell on the left flank we have combined forces of the Starks and the Knights of the Vale, on the right flank only the Northerners. In the middle we have Dany's armies, the Unsullied and the Dothraki. Inside the walls we have forces of House Mormont. Davos will be on the walls of Winterfell, signalizing others when is the right time to light the trench. Dragons will apparently not be in the field because they will have another task, protect Brienne, although they are not sure if Dragonfire can actually kill the Night King. Jon still cannot look Dany in the eyes. She can tell something has happened. Tyrion and Brienne have a long conversation off screen. Missandei and Grey Worm talk about living after the war. This adds up to Davos' question to Missandei in Season 7, when he asked her if her queen would let her leave and go home, to which Missandei replied with yes. Let's hope Grey Worm does not die in the battle for Winterfell, and the two actually survive the events of Game of Thrones. Finally, we see Ghost when Jon and Sam talk about his parents, and when Jon plans to tell Dany the truth. Former brothers of the Night's Watch standing on the wall with Ghost in the back, and now their watch begins. Jaime and Tyrion talk and drink wine. Brienne and Podrick walk in. Podrick wants to drink, but Brienne only allows him half a cup. Since Tyrion and Pod are old friends, Tyrion disobeys Brienne's orders and gets him full proper glass of wine. Davos shows up as well. In fact, a lot of people show up and some of them bring their own booze. It's quite a party in Winterfell. I suppose it makes the Army of the Dead true party breakers. On more serious note, it's nice to see the living have a few moments of peace until the battle begins. Tormund talks about their nicknames with Jaime, explaining why they call him Giantsbane, which is because he killed a giant when he was 10, and after that slept with his wife. After that, Tormund spent 3 months with her, as she thought he was her baby. That's apparently the reason why he's so strong, Giant's milk. Next we have Arya joining the Hound on the battlements. Arya says she has changed, and asks Clegane what is he doing here since he has never fought for anyone but himself. Clegane tells her he fought for her once, which he sure did. Back then the Hound did not know Brienne was there to help Arya, especially with that Lannister sword around her waist, so he fought her to defend Arya. I like this scene a lot, as it not only shows how Arya became much like the Hound, but it also shows how much the Hound cares for her. We also find Beric is not on Arya's death list anymore. Arya decides to spend final hours with someone else. She goes to Gendry's forge and trains with a bow for a while, until Gendry shows up with the weapon he's made for her. Arya asks what did the Red Woman, another person who was but also still is on Arya's list, wanted from him, which is when she learns Gendry is Robert Baratheon's son. Arya knows that they are possibly going to die soon, and she wants to do something she's never done before in their final hours. They kiss, clothes are off, many things happen off screen. We're then back to a huge gathering of many main characters before the battle. Tyrion muses it is strange they're all there. Brienne says they'll at least die with honor. They joke about surviving after all. Brienne explains to Tormund that she is not a knight, because women cannot be knights. Tormund says if he were a king he would knight her. Jaime says you don't need king, as any knight can make a knight, and just like that, Jaime knights her. Jaime knows this because in the books he was knighted by one of the best knights Westeros has ever seen, by Sir Arthur Dayne himself on the battlefield after defeating the Brotherhood. We all know how much it means to Brienne to be a knight and how much she wanted it, and we know there's no true knight as Brienne, so I'm glad she finally became one. However, I'm worried for what it means, or better said, what it foreshadows. I'm worried she might die a knight death in the next episode in a battle, protecting either some of the Starks or just some innocent people, as true knight does. Let's hope she survives. In the courtyard of Winterfell, Jorah tells Lyanna to go to the crypts, but she is not here for this. She will fight. Sam stumbles upon them and gives Heartsbane to Jorah. Sam says that Jorah's father, the old bear, taught him to be a man and to do what is right. Giving the sword to Jorah is right. Then we are once again back to knights and wine. They sing Jenny's song. As they sing, we see how main characters spend their final hours. We see Sam with Gilly and Little Sam, Sansa with Theon at dinner, Gendry with Arya in bed, Grey Worm and Missandei kiss before he leads the Unsullied outside. Jorah leads the rest of Dany's forces. Just as the song finishes, we see Dany joining Jon in the crypts. Hearing Jenny's song is quite a big deal, and might serve as a huge foreshadow for later on in the season, especially for Jon and Dany. For all of you that don't know, Jenny's song is known among the Game of Thrones fans as the song of the prince that was promised. The song is about Jenny of Oldstones and her husband Duncan Targaryen, the prince of dragonflies, and heir to the Iron Throne who gave up his rights to it for their love. What is also interesting is that Duncan, much like Jon, also had dark hair. Jenny was friends with a woods witch who prophesied that the prince that was promised would be born from the line of Prince Aerys and Prince Rhaella, who are Dany's mother and father, or Jon's grandmother and grandfather. Rhaegar Targaryen always related it to the prince that was promised the Song of Ice and Fire. High in the halls of the kings who are gone, Jenny would dance with her ghosts, the song says, and it might foreshadow that Jon will also give up his claim to the Iron Throne for love, for Dany, but it might also foreshadow that one of them will die. Speaking of the claim to the Iron Throne, Dany learns in the crypts that Jon's claim is better, as she learns her brother and Lyanna Stark married in a secret ceremony and had a baby that was adopted by Ned Stark, and his true heritage was kept a secret, and that baby is Jon Snow. Dany is much like Jon was at first, shocked and in disbelief. Before they could talk more about it, the horn is blown. The Night King's army has arrived with all the White Walkers leading it, except for the leader himself, the Night King. Could he be coming through the secret passage inside Winterfell? Perhaps. Episode 3 will be one hell of an episode and one cannot wait to see it. Stay tuned for the episode 3 preview breakdown. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.